Peace, 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 peace. You know what it is. We back again. We back again. Yes, 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 yes. Before we get started, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, drop a comment, share the video. It's very much needed. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to rock with me. You know what I mean? It's very much appreciated. So we are still dealing with the Gnostic scriptures. I'm coming back again today, and before I start this, I do want y'all to know that it's a reason why I'm doing this. It's a reason why I'm going through these teachings, because one of the reasons is that ever since I came across this work, first of all, I was drawn to it mystically. And ever since I came across this work, I resonated with it very much. And you know, I could see how, I don't know did I say this already? I might already said it. If I said this already, I apologize. I apologize if I said this already. But I just see how I can see how they written this. I can see how, when you look at the way that the world is ran, I can see how they came to these conclusions. So with that being said, I'm going through this hoping that you can almost see that this is very close, hypothetically, to our reality, that is almost kind of spooky. Of course, not everything that's being said, but a lot of things that's being said is almost kind of spooky, how similar and close to the way things are. And so, you know, that's what I'm seeing. You know, that's what I'm seeing when I study the Gnostic tradition. That's what I'm seeing. So today's work, the reality of the rulers, right? And so get ready for a curveball. I'm not sure what I'm going to name this. What I want to name it, I'm not sure it will be appropriate, because get ready for the curveball. Please get ready for the curveball, because it's going to be, yeah, this one is going to be that. And I will also say too, what I'm going to say to you today and what I'm going to tell you today, nobody else have said, right? So can we give it up for me one time? You know, I'm proud of that. You know, I'm proud of that. You know, because, you know, I came into this thing researching, you know, scholars. I love scholarly work, you know, from Pan-African scholars to regular Western scholars to whistleblowers to, you know, whatever your mind can muster. You know, I love scholarly works, and I have read scholarly works as it pertains to the Gnostic tradition, and nobody has not said what I'm going to tell you today, and I can't believe that they haven't. But maybe it's so explicit, I can kind of see why they wouldn't say it. I can kind of see why they wouldn't say it because it's kind of so explicit. Like I said, what I want to name the video, I know that I can't name the video that, and so yeah, maybe I could figure something else out. So there's going to be a recap. Today's work is retelling the same story. It's retelling how everything came about, who the good guys are, who the bad guys are, the relationship with this jealous ruler, all right, and his kingdom that he created, and these demonic entities and the things of that nature. But you're going to get more insight. And not only are you going to get more insight, it's actually going to finish it off with this concept of the arrival of the perfect human being. And when they talk about the arrival of the perfect human being, it sounds like a Christ figure. It sounds like they detailing the coming of Christ. That's what it sounds like. But they're not shy on speaking on Christ. They're not shy of talking about Christ. They're not shy of talking about the Christos or the anointed one. And so, but they don't do that. So like I said, let's get into it. Shouldn't be a long one today, but I can say that all the time, and you never really know where this thing go, once I get warmed up and things of that nature. And so, like I said, it's going to be a recap, and then you're going to get the curveball. All right, then you're going to get the curveball, and we're going to wrap it up. All right, and so it's just giving you more detail on the relationship with the heavenly host, right? With the heavenly host in the human realm. So let's go. The darkness told us that our contest is not against flesh and blood, rather the authorities of the world and the spiritual hosts of the wickedness. All right, and so initially when I'm reading this and when I'm going through this text, what I'm finding out is that their belief and their assumption is that the spiritual world is just pulling the strings on all of this. All right, they're pulling the strings on all of this, and as you go through this text and as you go through this information, you easily come to that conclusion that they believe that the spiritual world is actually in control of the physical world. All right, and so I'm gonna repeat this. The darkness told us that our contest is not against well, let me repeat that because it's not exactly the darkness. So it says that inspired by the spirit of the parent of truth, the great apostle, referring to the authorities of darkness, told us that. So he's referring to the authorities of darkness when he say that our contest is not against flesh and blood, rather the authorities of the world and the spiritual hosts of wickedness. So he's saying that your contest is not against flesh and blood. Your contest is against these demonic entities. You know what I mean? And I talked about this before. I made a song, Darkest Minds. Have you ever seen the movie Fallen? I done heard my calling. We ballin', defense, offense, instincts, picking up the fact you fraudulent. I'm heaven sent, smelling like myrrh and frankincense is evidence. Sixth sense intelligence. I I'm part of a kind that's hard to find. Foes kicking in your residence, trying to find the darkest minds. So yeah. And so of course, Idandaboth, this evil creator that was created haphazardly. You know, we know that he's a blasphemous, jealous God, psychopath. You know what I'm saying? That's not righteous, and he's not with acquaintance. So it says when it said this, when he said, I am the only true God, when it said this, it sinned against the eternity. And this utterance got up to the incorruptibility, which is the Most High God. Then there was a voice that came forth from incorruptibility, saying, You are mistaken, Samuel, which is God of the blind. Samuel was one of his names, which is Saklas, and of course Idandaboth. So it was the blasphemy that he had spoken. So you know that he created his own palace. He created his own kingdom, which is the material world. Okay, that is his kingdom. He created the material world. That is the world that he rules. After the pattern of the eternal realms that are above, for by starting from that invisible domain, the visible domain was invented. All right, so now they're talking about, so basically they're giving a rundown on the above nature and the below nature, which I talked about in the other video, which I referred to as the Sitra Akra. And this is a term that's used in the Kabbalah tradition that talks about the other side, the demonic realm. There's a heavenly realm and there's a demonic realm. And in the demonic realm, you have the what's called the shells. I forgot the term for it though. The shells. I can't remember as of right now. Maybe it'll come back to me. But in the Sitra Akra on the other side, you have the shells. They're empty vessels. They don't have any soul. And so that's what's talking about here. That's what's talking about here with the people of Idandaboth and the people of Saklas. They don't have no soul. They don't have the spirit of the Most High God. All right, so you can see with the Kabbalah tradition and with this ancient Gnostic tradition, you can see some very, 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 very close similarities, to the point to where that the Kabbalah tradition is basically a Gnostic debate. The Kabbalah tradition is basically Gnostic. And maybe the Kabbalists was pulling from some of this ancient text. Maybe they had some of this ancient works that they was hiding, and that they was using and teaching it and preserving it. Because like I said, this stuff was discovered in the early 1900s. I want to say 1940 something. But you got the Kabbalah tradition that goes back to, physically, historically, goes back medieval times. So like I said, maybe these guys had preserved this knowledge, had preserved this information. And so let's move forward. And so the creation of Adam. So please remember, there's going to be a recap, but you're going to get the curveball. And so I'm not here to just keep spewing the same thing over and over again. And so I'm obviously telling you this for a reason. Yes, it's a recap. Yes, it's the same story. This book, Reality of the rulers. It's a recap of the same story from yesterday, but you're going to get more information is included in the story. Okay? All right. And so they took some soil from the earth and molded their human being after the body and after the image of the God that had been shown forth to them in the waters. So what's really interesting is that a group of beings, is forming a human being after the image of their ruler, of the Most High God. Okay, so they created Adam. So they created Adam. They created the human being. But one of the problems was that they couldn't give him a soul. And so what's being detailed here is that the fleshly realm, the flesh is a part of the physical realm, but the soul is a part of the heavenly domain. So yes, they made his body, they built his body, but they couldn't give him life. They couldn't give him soul. Okay? And I even give you the note. But they could not make him arise because of their powerlessness. Like storm winds, they persisted in blowing, that they might capture that image which had appeared to them in the waters, and they did not recognize the identity of his power. And so the passage of the Spirit into Adam descended and came to dwell with him, and that human being came to be a living soul. It called its name Adam, and since it was found moving upon the ground. Hold on, let me see. Okay, so the spirit came forth to bring him life, right? And so they're saying he's called Adam because they seen him moving around on the ground. And so these beings, you know what I'm saying? It's really wild when you really start to picture this thing. You know what I'm saying? And if you really ever thought about entities and things of that nature, it's really wild when you start to picture this thing and what they're actually saying. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of wild. So they say they called him Adam. Okay, in this tradition, we know before he was Adam because he was part of the earth, but they said they called him Adam because he was found moving around on the ground. So these people was from the heavenly domain, you know what I mean? And they descended down here to give him life, to give him spirit, to give him a soul, to breathe life into him. And so what happens next? He goes into paradise. His introduction into paradise. And of course, he was given instructions not to eat of the tree in the paradise. Right? And not only that, not only was he given instruction not to eat of the tree, but also Eve was created. Eve was created, and when she was created, hold on, let me see, because I'm trying to find it. In the spirit, okay. And so, and the spirit endowed woman came to him and spoke with him, saying, Arise, Adam. And when he saw her, he said, It is you who have given me life. You will be called mother of the living, for it is she who is my mother. It is she who is my midwife, and it is the woman and she who has given birth. All right. And so Eve was also created. All right. So they was put into paradise. They was put into the garden. They was given instructions. Eve was created with him, and he loved Eve. You know, she was absolutely, I guess, from the way that it's written, she was just absolutely gorgeous, and he adored her. And this is the curveball, right? This is the curveball. 20 minutes into the video. This is the curveball. Hope y'all ready for this here. All right. And this is really going to give the breakdown and the meaning of the whole video and the meaning why I'm making this. Okay. And so after they came into the garden, after they was given instructions, and Eve was created, and he absolutely adored her. But guess what? You still got them benevolent beings, right? You still got the evil hosts, right? You still got the evil hosts that reside and control the physical matrix, all right? And so basically the evil, this chapter is called the rape of Eve. And so basically the evil hosts, they was jealous of Adam. They was jealous of what Adam now have with Eve. And they was so much so jealous about Adam, what he had with Eve. They actually adorned Eve, and they lusted after Eve. And not only did they lust after Eve, it would also tell you later in the text, right? No, not at this part. But not only did they, it would tell you later in the text that they put a spirit on Eve. Okay, because there's a heavenly female spirit, which is Pistis Sophia, which is faith and wisdom, and Zoe, which is also life. These are female principles. All right, Pistis Sophia, she's the one who created Idandabov without her male consort and created this whole problem, right? But you also have a demonic. You also have a demonic female spirit, right? And now you're about to see how this demonic female spirit is used. And so they raped Eve. Okay? Not the Elohim, not the heavenly host, but the Sitra Akra, the other side. You know, like Bobby Hemming used to talk about, the other side of the tree. The lower nature. Those benevolent beings, they raped Eve, and they partook into her, and they put a spirit over her, and they violated her. Not one being, they. That's what's tripping me out. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna read it to you. And then the authorities came up to Adam, and when they saw his female counterpart speaking with him, they became agitated with great agitation. And they became enamored of her. They said to one another, "Come, let us sow our seed in her." And they pursued her. And she laughed at them for their folly and their blindness. And in their clutches she became a tree, and left before a shadow of herself resembling herself. And they defiled it, folly. And they defiled the seal of her voice, so that by their model form together with their own image, and they themselves liable to condemnation. And so what's tripping me out, they saying they, right? And so, you know, esoterically, I guess you can look at it how you want to, you can look at it from exorcist mind frame and say, okay, maybe a lot of evil entities went inside of her and possessed her. But excuse me, but from the way this thing is going, it was a sexual encounter, and from that sexual encounter, she actually had a seed, which is the seed of Cain, which we talked about before, but it was more explicit. It was more explicit about how this whole realm, wanted a part of her, and that was just crazy to me. I can't help it. That was just crazy to me. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow. And not only that, later in the story, you're gonna see is that, is that they put a spirit on her. They put a spirit on her, and that's deep to me. When you see this this unrighteous female spirit, and you can see this unrighteous female spirit play out in social media and play out in media, play out in music and things of that nature. You can see that unrighteous female spirit. You can see that spirit. It's still alive today. And so even though you are dealing with a mythology, don't think for a second that these people didn't know what they was talking about. Like these personalities, these principles, these are real live principles. So don't think these people don't know what they're talking about. I wouldn't be sitting here wasting my time saying this if I didn't think that it had some type of validity to it. You dig what I'm saying? And so now the deep part is this. And so I told y'all this is the curveball. So this is the deep part. And so the evil heavenly host was jealous of Adam, right? So now that they did what they did to Eve, because they want her and they don't want him to have her. So do you know what they told him? They told him, y'all don't partake of the tree. But a spirit came on a snake. It was a female spirit that came on a snake and told him otherwise. But when she was getting violated, it say plain as day that she became a tree. And they defiled it. They defiled that tree that she became. Right? So obviously they ate of her fruit, but they didn't want Adam to eat of her fruit. So they didn't want Adam to have Eve. But a spirit came upon a snake. But a spirit came upon a snake, right? And they couldn't help themselves. So this is the part that I want you to hear. And the female instructing principle was taken away from the snake, and she left it behind merely a thing of the earth. Now think about this. Well, of course, snake is saying your eyes will be open and you'll know this and you'll know that. But this is what's important to me. What's important to me is that it was a female spirit on the snake. And it's saying that when the female spirit left the snake, it left it behind merely a thing of the earth. Now, Adam means earth. It was merely just a thing of the earth once the spirit left it. And so after they did what they did, they knew that they was naked. They knew they was lacking acquaintance. Right? and they took the fig trees and things of that nature to cover themselves up. And so now they kicked out of paradise. Now they kicked out of paradise because the rulers of the so-called paradise, because you got to remember, they wasn't in paradise from the Most High God. No, they soul come from the Most High God, but they down there in the physical. They're down there in the physical realm with the jealous God, right? And so y'all know the story. You know, he's asking them, "Why did you do this?" Adam said, "It was that woman you gave me." She said, "No, it was the snake." So he said, "It's the woman you gave me. I'm gonna curse the woman." She said it was a snake. Oh, I'm gonna curse the snake. But he said, "I'm gonna curse the snake until the perfect human being was to come. Until the perfect human being was to come, that curse lay upon the snake." Until the perfect human being was to come, that curse lay upon the snake. Right? And so you know the rest. And so this whole thing and so this whole thing in this tradition, because I don't want y'all to get it misconstrued. I'm just speaking of tradition. I'm just speaking on what's going on in this tradition. Different traditions is different things. In this tradition, this whole thing in the garden, it was about sex. I mean, I'm sorry. That's what it is, family. I can't break it down no other way for you. I mean, I just showed it to you. You know what I mean? I just showed it to you. So, you know, the evil entities, they was jealous of Adam. They wanted Eve for themselves. They didn't want Adam to partake, and he partook. And they didn't like that. And the rest is history. So now you got Cain. Because you got to remember that the evil entities took part into Eve first. And when they took part into Eve, Cain was created, who was of the darker forces, right? And so this whole thing with Cain and Abel is happening. And so, you know, of course, he killed Abel. Now, what's really interesting is that Cain worked the land. No, Cain brought what is it? Offerings of land. But Abel brought offerings of lamb. Now a lamb is usually considered, like, you know, Christ was considered a lamb. He was slaughtered. He was sacrificed. Abel, he was killed. He was killed for no reason. He was a lamb. You feel what I'm saying? So Abel brought offerings of lamb. Cain brought offerings of land. You know, and when I think of lamb, of course I think of earth, and I think of Adam, right? But that's neither here nor there. And so the whole Cain and Abel thing happens. So of course, Cain is of the darker side. He did what he did. He took Abel out. So what happens next is, Adam and Eve, they started to get their thing together. And basically they had 2 more kids. And of course, you know about Seth. They had Seth. But what you don't know about is Noria. They had a male and a woman, or a male and a female. And Adam said, I have born another man through God in place of Abel. All right. So these children is of the Most High God. They wasn't brought through the realm of darkness. And again, Eve became pregnant and she bore Noriah. And she said, he has begotten on me a virgin as an assistance for my generation of humankind. She is the virgin whom the powers did not defile. Okay. And so now it goes to the flood. You know what the flood is about. We didn't already talked about the flood. You know that's about that's about Noah. Because the evil demiurge in the darker realm is jealous of the humanity and they want to wipe out humanity, but they can't because the Most High God sending his soldiers down here, protecting his people. That's the whole thing what Noah was about. He gave Noah instructions. He did what he had to do. But what's interesting in this story is that somebody tried to aboard the ark and Noah didn't let him. Then Uriah came. I don't even know who Uriah is. This just come out of nowhere. And then Uriah came to him wanting to board the ark, and when he told, and then he said he didn't let this person board the ark. And when he would not let her, she blew up the ark. Okay, so she blew up the ark and caused it to be consumed by fire. And again, he made an ark for the second time. So this natural tradition is just people, it's just these stories. It's a collection of stories, and you can obviously see, that, I don't know. I guess people just had their own interpretations. And, it is what it is. So the confrontation of Noriah and the rulers. And so now I guess Noriah is just like bucking up against the dark side. And she said, but Noriah turned to them and said to them, it is not you who are the rulers of the darkness. You are accursed. And you did not know my mother. Instead, it was your feminine counterpart that you knew. For I am not your descendant. Rather, it is from the world above that I have come. The arrogant ruler turned with all his might, and his countenance came to be like was some holes in that. So you must render service to us as your mother did, Eve. So he telling her you a slave to us just like your mother is. You know what I'm saying? But she bucking up and she saying, nah, she ain't having it. And so basically she cried up to God and she say, rescue me from the rulers of injustice and save me from the clutches immediately. In the appearance of Elilith. So one of God's soldiers comes to the aid of her. The great angel came down from the heavens and said to her, why are you crying up to God? Why do you act so recklessly toward the Holy Spirit? Noriah said, who are you? The rulers of injustice have withdrawn from her. It said, I am Elilith, Prudence, the great angel who stands in the presence of the Holy Spirit. I have been sent to speak with you and to save you from the grasp of the lawless, and I shall teach you about your root. Okay? And so you see the breakdown. You see what happened to Eve. And Eve's daughter Noriah, she wasn't having it. She wasn't having it at all. Right? But it's wild. They told her, look, you must render service like Eve did. It's crazy. And she said, you didn't take no part of my mother. It was your female counterpart. They put a spirit on her. Man. And that's and that's deep to me. Like I said, when you look at or when you see evidence of that demonic female spirit, like I said, you can see it in the music these days. Okay? And so, and I'm about ready to wrap this up because I didn't intend. Am I still going? What's going? Okay, so I didn't intend on being this long, honestly. And so Lilith is telling her, do you think these rulers have any power over you? None of them can prevail against the root of truth. For on its account it has been shown forth in the final ages, and these authorities will be dominated. And these authorities cannot defile you, that race, for you, the abode is in incorruptibility, where the virgin spirit dwells, which is superior to the authorities of chaos in their world. The production of wisdom's offspring. So now they are. So let me not move that fast. So she's letting her know that these people are about to be dominated. The future has already been forecast. Right? They know how this thing's gonna end, and they going down. They going down. You know what I mean? And so yeah. Line this up with what you're seeing in reality today. That's just how I feel about it. I feel like, I feel like it's a bit of prophecy in it. Like I said, I'm not going through this for no reason. I feel like it's a bit of prophecy in it. I do. And so, I already told y'all, Idana both came from Pistis Sophia, wisdom, and how he came about. And so it's the same old story. Idana both, the jealous God, he's blasphemy. He's saying he's the Most High God, and he's not. But what is interesting is that what is interesting is this. And it is I who am the God of eternity, a fiery angel for her, and the angel bound Idana both and cast it down into Tartarus at the bottom of the abyss. So that sounds pretty familiar. Right? That sounds pretty familiar. And here goes another curveball. I was so gone about the Eve situation. I forgot about this whole Sabbath situation. So, about keeping the Sabbath holy. And keeping the Sabbath holy is even one of the 10 commandments. And if you know anything about the Jewish tradition, you know that the Sabbath is a holy day. Well, here in this tradition, they tell you how that came about, I guess, in their own little way. So check it out. Now, when its offspring, because it's saying Sabbath was an offspring of Idana both. So now when its offspring Sabbath saw the power of that angel, it repented and condemned its father and its mother Matter. It lost her, but it sang songs of praise up to wisdom Sophia, and her daughter Life Zoe, and wisdom and life caught up to it and appointed it in charge of the 7th heaven, the last day of the week, and below the veil between above and below, and it was called the God of the powers, Sabbath, since it is up above the powers of chaos, for wisdom Sophia appointed it. And so, that little breakdown on the Sabbath is really interesting. So these people, man, they really had a idea and their own little tradition on what was what. But this is also interesting too, because this also tells you how old that your Jewish tradition really is. Because this story here, they know that it's at least before, I want to say 350 AD. They know it's no older than 350 AD. And so, obviously, the Jewish tradition was it was there at that time because they are here putting their spin on it. Now, this is real interesting too as it pertains to the Sabbath. This is another note, and it almost leads me to believe that the concept of the Sephiroth might have been in existence in that time. Now, I don't know when the Sephiroth came into existence. I don't know when was the first. You know what? I did read it somewhere, but I don't remember. I don't remember when the first form of the Sephiroth came about, but I know it's not anywhere this early in time. But it says, so as it pertains to Sabbath, it says, its right has been called life, and its left has come to represent the injustice of the realm of the absolute power above. All right, so anybody knows about the Sephiroth, you know about the left side and you know about the right side. All right, so I don't know how much validity that really holds, but it was interesting nonetheless. All right, so now when Adana saw in this great splendor and at its height, it envied that being. And the envy became an androgynous product. And it was that source of envy, and the envy engendered death. And the death engendered its offspring, and appointed each of them in charge of its heaven. All right, so now basically they're detailing the creation of the Sitra Akra. All right, they're detailing the creation of the Sitra Akra, and it looks like Sabbath actually ascended up to the heavenly realm because, you know, he repented. He saw the power. He saw the power of the true God, and so he took place in that realm, right? And so the coming of the true human being. So all of this is going on. So you got this war between the heavenly realm against the earth, against the earthly human beings that the evil heavenly ones is jealous of, right? And then, you know, it all culminates into the coming of this perfect human being. And so, until that moment when a true human being within a model form reveals the existence of the spirit of truth which the parent has sent. And this is how the book ends. And then that being will teach them about everything, and it will anoint them with the anointment of eternal life. Give unto that being from the undominated race. Then they will be freed from blind thought, and they will trample underfoot death, which is of the authorities, and they will ascend into the limitless light where this posterity belongs. They will dwell in the limitless light. That's what Keter is called on the Sephiroth, Ein Sof Or, the limitless light. So they will dwell in the limitless light where this posterity belongs. Then the authorities will relinquish their ages, and their angels will weep over their destruction, and the demons will lament their death. Then all the children of the light will be truly acquainted with the truth and their root, and the parent of the eternity and the Holy Spirit. They will all say with a single voice, the parent's truth is just, and the child presides over the eternity and from everyone until the ages of ages. Holy, holy, amen. So it almost sounds, when they talk about this perfect human being, it almost sounds like a Christ figure, but it also has that angel, that Michael angel kind of feel vibe to it in Revelation. You know what I mean? It's like putting it in, you know, it's like putting it in to the demonic rule, you know, over the physical planet. So it's just like they're coming to take over the heavenly realm is coming to take over the earthly realm that's ran by the demonic forces. And so if that was all over the place, I apologize, but that's the Gnostic scriptures. That's the Gnostic text, man. It's it's deep, it's different, it's very different than the narrative that you're used to. And like I said, I know it was a recap, but it was some things in there that I just wanted to bring out, because like I said, I haven't heard nobody speak on these things. And so I've been longer than I wanted to be. I was hoping this could have been a good 20-minute, but it is what it is. Thank you for your time. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back with more. Peace.